welcome back to the Dragon's Den. I'm your host, SinDragonLord, and this is the top 4 of the Global Pokemon Society, or the Global Pokemon Society Draft League Season 10 tournament. I didn't realize that was a tongue twister, but apparently it is. This week we got the Oklahoma Thunderous, the undefeated Oklahoma Thunderous. Not only has he had a perfect season thus far, which is already an impressive streak, but to add to the impressiveness, his S tier, his Gholdengo, has gone this entire season, all 11 weeks, deathless. Gholdengo has not fainted one time. We got a tall task ahead of us on our way to the finals. What's the rest of his team look like? Well, he's got Tauros Aqua to sort of mirror our A tier, the Tauros Blaze. We got Hydreigon, we got Iron Tread, Salazzle, Tropius, Umbreon, Pyroar, and Toedscool. Now, these documents don't get updated at all once the playoffs start. But he has brought Tropius one time, despite what this document shows, and that was in his top 8 match. And that was mainly to deal with Gastrodon, I think. But outside of that, he's only brought Umbreon as his C tier. Pyroar and Toedscool have not seen a battlefield all season long. So we can kind of predict, as you can see from the right side over here, this is what we're predicting him to bring. It could be wrong, and if we are wrong, we will adjust it accordingly. But this is what we're anticipating him to bring. Now, how do we handle a perfect season Oklahoma Thunderous and his undefeated Gholdengo? Well, we have an ace up our sleeves ourselves. He may have the unbeaten Gholdengo, but we have the KO leader who has absolutely left carnage and destruction in his wake. Who was that? Fighting this week for ghost-type supremacy is our very own Annihilape, with damn near 50 kills in the last 11 weeks, and I think 9 deaths. Which, if you're talking specifically about a KD ratio, that's pretty damn impressive in of itself. I'm just throwing that out there. Anywho, so we really are talking about a match of boring ghost types. The top 2 leaders of the kill board, one undefeated, the other who has cleanly, not even close, gotten the most kills out of any Pokemon this season. Immovable object, irresistible force. That's what we're talking about today. And our irresistible force, we're running a little bit differently this week. Same moveset, slightly different EV spread. And we have Terra Water instead of Terra Fire. And we have a Lumberry instead of Leftovers. Why all these changes? Well, excuse me. Because we are trying to prepare ourselves for anything. And try to mitigate as many weaknesses and counterplay as possible. So, the Terra Water there is simply, does it resist steel, make it rain? It's neutral to all of his other offensive options, but it also resists water, which is something that Terra Fire does not. So if we were to go Terra Fire, the Tauros Aqua would be a problem, for sure. And why the Lumberry? Well, there's a couple reasons for that. We're anticipating him to bring Umbreon, and we're anticipating him to bring Salazzle. Now, I have not seen him run Will-O-Wisp on the Salazzle, but I cannot write that off as it not being possible. And having my Annihilape burned kind of it's kind of important that doesn't happen, right? So if the Umbreon decides to yawn, I want to be able to have an answer for, the sleep and being able to wake up. If he goes for the Willow, I want to be able to just heal and then knock out the Salazzle on that turn as well. And like I said, obviously the normal answer for that would be to just go Terra Fire, but then we would be weak to the Tauros Aqua. That's why we're doing what we're doing. Hopefully it works out. But we also have another trump card. And that is Medicham, our limit breaker, who has basically been a part of every single one of my teams since we started, barring last season. I don't think I had Medicham last season, but in every other season, it's been a part of our team. We have not brought it more than once. We tried doing skill swap shenanigans with Slacking, and it didn't work out just because the lead that he had into my lead was just perfect. So, yeah, there wasn't really anything we could do. And I didn't bring it since, because Annihilape just kind of did everything that I needed Medicham to do. Just better defensive typing, just etc. But this time, Medicham actually fills a role, and that role is it basically, with the coverage that it has, it threatens everything on the team. We're going Terra Fire. We have Terra Blast, Fake Out, Close Combat, Zen Headbutt with an Assault Vest. So let's run through the right side of the screen here. We can even go with the mods that we're not expecting him to bring at all. Terra Blast Fire. Hits Gholdengo super effectively, gets a guaranteed KO. Zen Headbutt is super effective into the Tauros. Close Combat, super effective into the Hydreigon. Close Combat and Terra Blast, super effective into the Iron Treads. Zen Headbutt, super effective into the Salazzle. Close Combat, super effective into the Umbreon. Terra Blast, super effective into Tropius. The Close Combat, super effective into Pyroar. And Terra Blast Fire is super effective into the Toadschool. So we have super effective moves on every single Pokemon on his team, barring Terastallization. It is possible that he get Terastallized into something that doesn't take super effective damage from these moves. But, as it stands, super effective coverage on everything. Now, you might be looking at this set and wondering to yourself, but there's no speed investment. And basically everything on that team, barring, like, say, Umbreon, is probably going to outspeed you. So how do you expect to get any sort of big damage off? That is where we get into Hypno. Because we are using Trick Room. Oklahoma really loves Tailwind. We've seen Tropius set it up. We've seen Hydreigon set it up. And that his team is pretty decently quick in general, whereas mine is kind of not. Like, I have Tauros that can be fast, and I have Weavile. Grafaiai is decently quick too, with base 110 speed, but it's not really putting out the it's not really putting up the damage. So we are countering his speed control with our own. We could have brought our own Tailwind setter, but that wouldn't have really helped in the speed game situation, because if he gets up his own Tailwind, the speed tiers are equalized, and we might as well be in no Tailwind. That, and it's just easier for me to set up Trick Room than it is to safely set up Tailwind, so that's what we're doing. We have Terra Fairy with Trick Room, Protect, Psychic, and Dazzling Gleam with max special bulk, because a lot of his threats that I'm worried about are special attackers. Last time we brought Trick Room on Hypno, we had his Citrus Berry. What changed? We have a Culber Berry on there now. Well, in testing, a Gholdengo Hydreigon double up with Shadow Ball and Dark Pulse was enough to KO the Hypno. So initially I had a Cassie Berry, because Gholdengo's Shadow Ball does more damage than Hydreigon's Dark Pulse. But then, while testing, I realized that Iron Treads could potentially have knockoff, which is a guaranteed KO on the Hypno by itself. So we switched it over to Colbur Berry because it effectively serves the same role while not just instantly dying to knockoff. And that's why we have that. So with that and Medicham, it makes for a pretty decent Trick Room sweeper. The only thing that outspeeds Medicham in Trick Room will probably be that Umbreon. And that's it. Then we got Grafaiai. A couple things you might notice about this Grafaiai. We are not running Prankster, and that is strictly because we want to be able to status the Hydreigon. And with Prankster, we can't do that unless it Terras. And we naturally outspeed the Hydreigon, so we don't need Prankster to do that. So just being able to have that flexibility to be able to, kind of lock down more things with status is important. And on top of that, we have Covert Cloak. Now, here's the fun part about Covert Cloak, right? So, he does have Fake Out pressure with the Salazzle. And in testing, Fake Out plus basically any powerful move that hit Grafaiai, including spread moves, i.e. Make It Rain, would take out the Grafaiai before I had a chance to do anything with it. So I threw a Covert Cloak on it, that way it can't be flinched, and I could even potentially lock down a Pokemon into Fake Out. So there's that. Then we also have Knockoff, that way we can hit the Gholdengo super effectively and get rid of the leftovers or whatever item it just so happens to have. Moving on, we have the Weavile. We have a Focus Sash with Fake Out, Ice Spinner, Low Sweep, and Beat Up. We have Terra Dark on it for the first time this season, and that's because there is a world where I could potentially want to Terra the Weavile, and Beat Up after Terrestrialization has a good chance to knock out the Gholdengo. It's a guaranteed OHKO with Expert Belt, but then I'm basically guaranteed to die to any one hit, and that's not what I want. Because I also want to be able to beat up the Annihilape too. So I was willing to forego the guaranteed KO for an 84% chance to KO the Gholdengo or something like that without it, while being able to survive multiple attacks. We have Low Sweep because we're anticipating whatever he wants to kind of be the counter to Annihilape to basically be a normal type. That way we can't just spam Rage Fist. But if we have Low Sweep, we hit the Terra normal super effectively, and we have multiple options of hitting that super effectively on our team. And then we have Ice Spinner because without Terra, the one-shots the Hydreigon. I am almost positive that it one-shots the Hydreigon. Trying to think. I think, yeah, we need to go Jolly on it because without Jolly, we don't outspeed Timid Salazzle or AC or whatever it is Salazzle. So yeah, there's that. I was tempted to go Adamant for a bit, but I think the speed tier on Salazzle kind of deterred me from doing that. So, then finally, of course, we got Tauros. We got the standard bulky set with Willow, Raging Bull, Body Press, Protect. We got Citrus Berry. We got Terra Water. That way we can 1v1 the other Tauros a little bit better. And that's basically it. The only thing I want to note about Tauros is if Gholdengo does decide to Terra normal, or whether it doesn't, we have super effective moves to hit it with Tauros. So there's that. Anyway, I'm not going to go too much further into this. We're almost at 15 minutes on the intro. Let's just go ahead and get into the battle portion right about now.